It is Friday, November 13th, and dare I say with my writing tonight, I have had good luck. I just said, okay, so I sat down to write today, and I almost wasn't even going to do it. I was just going to keep watching Anne of Green Gables on Netflix, but once I got off of work today, I was just thinking like, okay, writing right now seems like kind of a challenge. Like mentally, I'm not really in the zone to write. So I was like, okay, I'll just take it one step at a time. So I just like put away like some dishes, I'll make some tea, that kind of thing. I'll set up some music, I'll dance to the music a little. Sometimes you just have to take baby steps, you know, take it one thing at a time. And I sat down on my computer and I was looking at the scene and I'm like, I don't know what to do with this. So I just said, okay, let me just set a timer for say an hour and I'll just work on my story until then, and I don't have to work on it any longer if I don't feel like it. But it ended up being, I think, one of the most productive hour-long writing sprints that I've had recently, or perhaps in a very long time. I wrote 1,522 words in an hour, okay? Like, that is insane to me. Like, not only is that one of the highest word counts I've had with this story in one day, but it's just like, in 1 hour, like, that's crazy. It was a really exciting scene where like all hell just broke loose. All the stuff just hit the fan and it was just great. Which I think it was my 50,000 word vlog when I was working on Storm Cloud 3 years ago in August, where like when you write an exciting scene, at that point when I was doing that vlog, I was trying to hit 50,000 words by the end of August. And it was the last day of the month that I had 9,000 words to write in that day. But it just so happened that at that particular point I was writing a really exciting scene where bad things happen. And for some reason when I write really exciting things when bad things happen, my word count just goes like, you know, if it's like I have an idea of what I want to happen, and I just felt so in the scene, like I could see everything that was happening. It's complete chaos, mind you. There's like 50,000 things going on at once. Like all the characters are like just trying to deal with something that just happened, and it's just like complete chaos and everyone's like freaking out, but I could see everything so clearly. My character, I was in her head. So now, okay, I am so close to 40,000 words. I didn't end up writing yesterday. I did write a song earlier today, so that was nice. I didn't write any music. I've just been writing a lot of poems and words now. And my word count right now is 39,747. So far this month, I have written 6,648 words. That includes 4 days of not writing at all. And I've written everything from 66 words in one day, or 0 words, to 1522, which is what I wrote today. So that's my high for the month. I've really been enjoying writing music, like writing poems. It's interesting, like learning with me what I think is more of a song versus what's a poem. And I realize it has to do with the prose. You know, like when I get really prosy or more flowery with the language, I feel like it's more of a poem versus like a song. I feel like I use a lot more like pronouns like you and I, or he and she, or something like that. And it feels like a conversation. Like a poem just kind of feels like something is happening, and then the song feels more like a conversation between the singer and the listener, or the singer is telling a story about something happening between other people. So I feel like that's interesting. The songs are all over the place in terms of theme and in terms of like style or even quality, which is great. So I feel like as I do more of this song/poetry writing, I'm learning to kind of I'm hoping that I'll soon hone in on like a style or something that feels more like me, something that feels more personal. Because I'm finding that I'm not really writing about things that are super personal to me. It feels like I'm just writing about things that are happening, almost like I'm telling it from somebody else's perspective, which is not bad either, because I know like one of my favorite singers, Aurora, she writes a lot of songs from the perspective of others. Glass Animals did a whole album where each song was kind of about a different character. Not necessarily anybody that they know personally, but just, you know, you kind of invent a character, which is it's not a foreign concept to me as a writer. You invent a character and you tell a story from their perspective. So maybe that's my style, I don't know. But I would like to just kind of dabble. Actually, I don't know if I want to dabble in more personal writing, because that's like a little bit too raw and exposed, and I don't know if I'm ready to deal with all my emotions like that. Also, I'm finding that a lot of the things I've written have sort of a sad undertone. Like there's a couple of common themes that are kind of sad, and it's like, oh, Okay, I can see why songwriters, I can see why certain artists always veer towards sad songs. Like, I'm seeing that now, It's like it brings up these emotions you didn't know you had. But this is not a therapy session. Hello, friends. It is, what is it? It is Monday, November, I don't know. It's Monday, November something. I'll put it on the bottom of the screen. So I guess that gives you an idea of what my mood is like right now. I am going to make a bit of dinner, or start dinner. I'm going to boil some water for some pasta, and then I'm going to bake mac and cheese. And I'm going to do some kind of chicken with it. I haven't decided yet. So I'll probably have to chop up some garlic and onions, and just have some vegetables on the side. I just went out for a walk. It's like 3:49 p.m. And it was nice to go out for the walk. Let me move you over here. It was nice to go out for the walk because, like, I mean, just in general, it's nice to get outside, get some fresh air, and move your legs a little bit. Especially if you're like me, where you work a pretty sedentary job all day, so you're just sitting down staring at a computer all day. And that's the other thing, is getting a chance to get away from your screen. Hold on a second. I've got you propped up in my spice cabinet, so I just had to reach behind you for the salt. So I figured I would just kind of chat to you a little bit while I start preparing the pasta. Got a block of cheese, which I hope is still good. We've had it for like a couple weeks now, but we haven't used very much of it. So I'm going to start grating some cheese. I have to find something to put it in. Yeah, so like I was saying, like, it's nice to get outside and get some fresh air and stuff, especially when you're like sitting down all day. But also it's good for your mood. I was feeling some kind of way this afternoon. Wasn't really anything in particular. It's kind of like the collective worries all that I'm worrying about right now, like just kind of all reminding me that they exist at once. Your brain just like, it kind of gets on a spiral where you think about one thing, then it makes you like think about all the other negative things, and it's just like, come on brain, like, whose side are you on? Like, why are you trying to get me down and make me feel like that? So I was thinking, like, okay, it'd be nice to go outside for a walk, because I was looking outside and it's like a perfectly gray fall day. I think, side note, it's right now we're at like an underrated part of fall where like every day pretty much is gray or has some degree of grayness, and all the leaves in the trees are pretty much dead. Everything is brown and gray outside, but something about it is really beautiful and really just crisp and chill. And like I said, underrated, because everybody thinks of fall and they think of like the colorful part of fall where all the leaves are just starting to change and fall off of the leaves. But like, I don't know how much credit this part of fall gets. There are some days I don't even leave the house, like, at all. I just look out the window all day. Like, at the beginning of quarantine, like, I didn't go outside. I think it was like a week, like it would be like a whole week where I didn't go outside. And I don't know about you guys, but it's a long time for me to not go outside. Not to say that I'm a particularly outdoorsy person, but I mean, and I was living in my studio apartment at the time, so it's just like there's only one room. There's really not a lot of room to like stretch your legs and move around. But today when I was thinking to go outside, I didn't think about it for too long. I kind of just like was like, okay, I'll throw out the trash, I'll go get the mail, and then I'll go for a walk. So it's nice to have like those kinds of things that get me like where I have to go outside to do those things. But I just really needed to clear my head, think through some things and kind of work out some things in my head, like personally speaking. So this is our finished mac and cheese. I did run out of cheese, so like I kind of spread it over as much as I can, plus some of it's already started to melt. So now is where you cover it with foil and put it in the oven for 45 minutes. And kid you not, this is how much foil we have left over. Like, is that not sad or what? And I managed to snag a piece of foil that was covering a loaf of bread in the fridge. Boy, I don't drink, but if there was ever a reason to start, this would be it. Hello, so it is the 18th of November. It's Tuesday. Is it Tuesday? No, it's Wednesday. Good Lord. It's 4 p.m. Oh, yeah, it's been an afternoon. Okay, so I'm still like, my brain is still processing, and honestly, my brain is processing quite slowly right now. So I'm just trying to like get with it. I'm trying to get into the mindset of my story. I've never needed a cup of tea more, I think. So I've made myself a giant cup of tea. Okay, decaf because I need to calm down. I've got a peppermint candle burning. I would have some peppermint white chocolate in my mouth right now, but I couldn't go to the grocery store like I needed to. And let me tell you why. So I went out to my car and my entire back window was shattered. Like, shattered. Okay? And it just was like, I just couldn't figure out what the heck. So I had to deal with that. And it was like freezing cold. Like, it's been a very cold day. And I don't know if it's because of the freezing cold, but my car was the only one in the entire parking lot that looked like that with the window shattered. And I've had a cracked window before from the cold, and it did not look like that. So I don't know what the heck is going on, but anyway, I had to deal with that. But now I'm trying to reframe my thoughts to hotel story. I'm gonna set a timer for a 1.5 hour writing session, so that'll put us through to about 6 p.m. So where am I right now with hotel story? Okay. Word counts. I don't know if I told you last time, but I passed 40,000 words. That was that night that I was telling you about it, that was my goal. I ended up doing it. So, yeah. I broke a record for this story for most words written in one day. Heck, all these words were written within like 2 to 2.5 hours. So I wrote 2,077 words in that 2.5 hours because it was such an exciting scene. So I just was like riding high on that for the rest of the evening. I kept like reminding myself of it and like giving myself like imaginary pats on the back. You know, like I was just like, oh, Sydney, look at you. Anyway, so that was several days ago now. My word count now is 41,823. Haven't done a whole lot of writing since then. I've written about 1,500 words, 1,600 since then. That's the first thing. The second thing, in pantsing this, I hadn't actually figured out exactly how it's going to end. I figured out kind of how to wrap up the mystery within part one in a way where it's still satisfying but leaves a few threads a few threads or a few strings untied to be explored further in part two. Cell phone. This is legit how I just spelled the phrase cell phone. I don't know where to begin. It is Tuesday, November 24th, and it's 11 a.m. Maybe this looks familiar, this background, and there's a baby picture of me. I am working on Storm Cloud, or trying to, and I just have no idea where to start. Like, I've been thinking things in the back of my mind, but this whole time that I've been thinking things, I've like not really been thinking about, like as soon as I realize I'm thinking about it, I like shut down the thought because I don't want to like drift from hotel story. But I've decided that I'll still work on both stories because hotel story is in the drafting phase mostly, whereas Storm Cloud is in the planning phase at this point. So because there are two different phases in the writing process, I think I might be able to juggle them both. The trouble would kick in if I decided to start writing Storm Cloud or whatever. But the catch is that I have to keep on top of my word count for hotel story. So that's writing 500 or so words a day. And I think yesterday I was on top. I was where I was supposed to be, but today I might have to do a few hundred more words, like 300 more words to keep up. Anyway, I just don't know where to start with Storm Cloud. Like, at first I was like, before I even look at my notes, let me just take my notebook. So I've got my Storm Cloud notebook, my second notebook for it, here. And I said draft 10, because that's what this will be. And I put New Vision as the title of the page. And I stared at it for a long time. I didn't know what to write. And I basically just wrote that I don't want to make any grand sweeping revisions of this story. I kind of just want to take what already exists, tweak it a bit if needed, and make it work somehow, which is an incredibly vague statement, but basically means I don't want to make any changes for the sake of changes, and I don't want to like have to think about brand new concepts to bring in necessarily. Like, I think a lot of what I already have works. I just have to figure out a way to make it work better. And I have no idea where to start, and I'm over here stressing out a little bit. Like, I don't have to work on this story, but I just want to. So I'm trying to remind myself that I'm putting too much pressure on myself. So I'm trying to remind myself that this is about what I want from the story and not what anybody else would want. So it's just hard to look at it that way. So I started by looking at, as best as I could figure, I started by looking at my main character's notes page. And I'm gonna, I think, look through the notes of all my other main characters. And then from there, I might look through the world building note pages of like the world that they live in. And then, I don't know, maybe I'll look through my plot and kind of just figure out what plot points I can take, which ones I could leave, which ones I could put off for maybe a later book, or see if there's any gaps where I need to fill them in. Hello, it's Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving, the 25th or something. And I'm just intermittently throughout the day watching the Taylor Swift folklore movie thing on Disney Plus. So it's really enlightening about all the songs on the album. But anyway, I've been looking at Stormcloud. I realized everything I wanted to do with this story is basically going back to what I was going to do in draft 9. And so what I want to do is basically approach it how I was doing Hotel Story, which is to sit down, read through everything that I've written so far, which is like 6 or so chapters, and then just start writing, kind of sort of pantsing it, but again, like this, so much of this story is already established that I basically just have to like, I'll write something and then I'll see like, oh, okay, where could I go next? And just kind of pull things. So it's sort of like pantsing it. But it's like I'm deciding which scene I want to happen next as I go, as opposed to trying to plan the entire thing out. And I have an idea of how I want the story to end. So we'll see if that works. It could end up being a pretty long draft, but then we can always pare it down. But I think a lot is going to happen in this book based on what I'm thinking I want to happen now. And I've also got some visions of how I see like sequels going. But I don't want to think about that too much right now because I don't want to get too ahead of myself or put too much pressure on this story. But it is good to keep that kind of thing in mind just so I can plant the seeds in this book, you know? I don't want to start reading through the draft that I have now or writing until I have finished writing Hotel Story, because I don't want to be writing 2 stories at once right now. I might have to put Stormcloud down again for right now and just stick with Hotel Story, which is actually fine because it's weird. I was thinking about this yesterday, but what I've realized the last day or two is that Stormcloud has become like this new territory that I'm afraid to kind of tread through, whereas Hotel Story has become really comfortable. Like it's easy enough to submerge myself into that story and just get going, just start writing and just crank out these 1,000-word writing sessions like pretty easily now. Whereas I would normally think it'd be the opposite. I would think Hotel Story would be the new world that I'm afraid to tread through because it's only a year old. Whereas Stormcloud, I've been working on that story for now 11 years, which is such a long time. Mind you, I've also been using like earlier rounds of Stormcloud to figure out who I am as a writer, because I came up with the idea for Stormcloud like very early on in my writing career, and I had a lot of growing to do as a writer with that. Yesterday I wrote 1,000 words of Hotel Story, so that brought my total to just over 45,000, like 45,200. My word count chart says that by the end of today I'm supposed to be at 46,500, so I'm gonna see if I can write 1,300 words today, but we'll see. It's okay if I don't. Yeah, also this is my old room. At my mom's house. Look, there's Stewie Griffin. Lewis. It may be a while before I check in again. Just with Thanksgiving tomorrow. Happy Thanksgiving for all of those of you who celebrate. With Thanksgiving tomorrow, I may not be doing a whole lot of writing. I think the whole day tomorrow is it's just Thanksgiving. You know how that is. Hello, so it is Thursday, December 3rd. And I really have not written anything, let alone for this story, in like the week or so since I've been here. In like a week. I think the last time I wrote was the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. I just wrote a couple hundred words for the Hotel Story. and I feel so out of touch with this story. I just wrapped up a scene, and I feel myself starting to get back into it, but I'm just like, I've forgotten like what the next plot points were going to be. I have a list, so it's fine, but it's just like, wow, it's amazing. You just step away from a story for a week, and immediately it's amazing how quickly your brain just like dumps all the necessary information. So it has been a long minute since we last talked. So it is 3 days before Christmas. It is December 22nd. I just figured I'd kind of summarize what's been happening the last couple weeks since I last vlogged. With Hotel Story, I am at 48,511 words, and the last time I wrote for that was December 13th. So that's actually not that long ago. And I left actually in the middle of a scene. It was just, I had only written the beginning of a scene, and it was still going like just fine, or like there was nothing about me not being interested in Hotel Story. It wasn't like I couldn't figure out what to write next, or I was lost, or anything like that, or doubtful about the story. It was nothing like that. Everything was great with Hotel Story where I last left it. I just have been thinking that for the time being, I want to work on Stormcloud. The way I've been treating my writing the last couple of months, as you know, is like I've been trying to work on being committed and focused with one project at a time, because in the past it has not worked well for me too much to be flipping back and forth between projects too often. And also the thing was, I wanted Hotel Story to be my kind of passion project, my fun project, my no strings attached, no pressure kind of project. But I could feel it coming that it was going to start feeling like work if I kept making myself write that story when my heart was starting to want to lean towards other projects. And I've been sitting on Stormcloud for a few months, and it just felt like it was about the right time to start working on it again. So the long story short is I organized all of my notes, I decluttered a lot of my notes, and I streamlined a lot of my notes. So I'm trying discovery writing. I went back to the draft I was working on in June, July of this year. So that draft was at 14,732 words that I've written this past summer. And so I've worked on it twice now. I worked it on Sunday the 20th, and I'm working on it today. And so far today, I've written 521 words. And I'm feeling good about it. It's a bit of a struggle. It's a lot of procrastinating. It's been a lot of like kind of being scared to start, getting back into it. Just being hesitant and being worried that I won't be able to make this story on paper what it is in my head. And I have to, that's just a constant battle that I'm always fighting. And I'm sure a lot of you, if you're writers, can relate. Like, just, you have the story in your head, and maybe you're just afraid to sit down and write it because you feel like you're going to mess it up, or you're not going to do your characters justice, or you're not going to do the world justice, and it's a constant battle. And I just have to try to keep reminding myself that this is not the first time I've been here. So that's where I'm at now. I'm still in chapter 6. I never actually finished the chapter this summer. I actually had stopped in the middle of a scene when I got the idea to do the structural change. The structural change is just not for this story the way I have it right now. Like, I liked what I wrote for the structural change, but I just felt like I wasn't quite going in the right direction. I'll admit that I was feeling a lot of pressure with vlogging my writing, that I felt like if I was going to do something writing related, that I have to report it to the vlog. And if I wanted to switch to Stormcloud, even though I had said that I wasn't going to do it until I finished part 1 of Hotel Story, I felt like I was doing something wrong, and therefore I felt like I had to say it to the vlog, but I didn't want to say that I was doing something wrong to the vlog, because it just felt like, if these vlogs are for me, then I should not be feeling bad about talking about my writing and about the ups and downs and the struggles and the backs and forths, and just like being inconsistent with what I say I'm going to write and what I actually end up writing. Like, I shouldn't feel bad about that stuff. So that's part of why I didn't vlog a lot the last couple of weeks, and that's also part of why this vlog hasn't gone up yet. But you really just have to give yourself a break. I can be so hard on myself sometimes, especially when it comes to writing. Like, oh, you haven't written in a week, you've got to get back to that. Like, how do you call yourself a writer if that's the example that you're setting, if that's the way you're going to go about it? And it's like, shut up, Sydney. Like, I don't care about that. Like, if writing is my passion, then I can do it at my own pace when I feel like it. And if I'm not writing, it's not because I'm not doing anything or I'm not being lazy. Or so what if I am being lazy? It's like, sometimes I'm playing the keyboard because it's fun. Sometimes I'm doing a puzzle because it's fun. Sometimes I'm just watching TV because it's fun. Like, Give yourself a break if you want to do other activities. Give yourself a break if you don't want to do anything. Like, it's all fine, okay? So anyway, that's a pep talk to myself. It's a pep talk to you if you need it to. I'm going to get back to working on Stormcloud right now, and I'm going to wrap up the vlog for the year. I know 2020 has been a year of, you know, unprecedented proportions. I look forward to 2021. I don't necessarily think it's going to be any different than 2020, just because like Mother Nature and diseases don't care about arbitrary years. But I do know that there are certain things that I can control, such as like my ability to write and when I write and what I choose to write about. I can control those things. So those are the things that I'm going to focus on. And those are the things that I'm going to let make me happy. I'm going to let those things that I love make me happy. And I'm going to do more puzzles, and I'm going to play more keyboard, and I'm going to try to pick up the guitar a bit more often. And I'm going to write a few more songs. Thank you guys so much for watching this vlog. I hope all of your creative projects are going well, and if not, that's fine. Do what you need to do. Take care of yourself. I hope that the days ahead can bring you some form of joy, even if it's in the little things, okay? Yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you next time. Toodaloo.